Hello and welcome back to another video. During this video, I want to try and learn how to do multiple exposures in camera and out of camera. This is something I've wanted to try for some time. It's a very creative style of photography. It's something to give a go if you want to expand your knowledge, if you want to learn something new. I certainly am starting from scratch over the last few videos, focusing on focus bracketing, looking at how to improve the quality of my work, and next I want to improve my creative mind, seeing how I can do some artistic abstract multiple exposures within the woodland. So come along with me to the forest, let's learn something new and go on a little adventure close to home. Landscape photography is a type of photography which has a lot of variety, from the intimate details of a forest to the grand vista views of a mountain. It has a lot to offer, and I want to try and master the different techniques which capture the beautiful world around us. We are all creatives, and by learning new types of photography is like adding another paintbrush to your collection, so you can go on to create your next masterpiece. Now there are two ways to do multiple exposures. The first is to take several still images and combine them in Photoshop. The second is doing it using your camera if it has the inbuilt functionality of multiple exposure. Not all cameras have this. I'm using the Canon R5 and will talk you through how to set up your camera. In your focus settings, enable multiple exposure. There are two options here, and the first allows you to control multiple exposures for each frame, and the second is continuous shooting. Next is the exposure control. This is how the camera blends the exposures of each frame. I've gone for average, then select how many images. I find 3 to 4 is a good sweet spot and a nice range of images. Next, I want the camera to save all source images and have a choice between one shot or continuous mode. I've gone for one shot. So my first composition, I've decided to go with these leaves. So we're on the change of the season, we're coming out of summer, and there's some stunning colours on the floor where these leaves have fallen. Now you only have to do minimal gardening work. That helps with processing, so you don't have to use too much editing time to remove any distraction. I think my style of photography is quite minimalist, so anything you can do now will help cut down time in editing later. So how I'm taking these shots, so I've got the in-camera multiple exposure functionality that I've shown you guys. I've decided to go with handheld, and the reason for that is because I'm just able to move, I'm able to be a bit more mobile, compose shots a bit more ad hoc, whereas with the tripod it would take more time, and I also feel like it would limit my creative eye. I want things to be open, relaxed, look and see and move with the camera. It's good to do this in shadow conditions so you don't have bright, harsh light. I find if you have light coming into the forest, it can be very overbearing. And just settings wise, I'm on a higher ISO, lower aperture, and a faster shutter speed, which means I can get images in focus. There is another trick here, so the final thing I'll say is you can do one still image and then the second can be a ICM, so an intentional camera movement image. And that really does add a bit more substance and movement and motion to tell a story of the forest, because that's the point of photography. It's important to tell a story and give your composition a purpose and maybe even evoke an emotion. But I'm going to frame up these leaves now, try and put them together to get our first multiple exposure composition and see how this turns out. Look closer. When you look closer, nature smiles at you. What was hidden before is no more. When you look closer, details shine at you as you explore the vast outdoor. When you look closer, everything stops for you. Time is a feather you no longer measure. When you look closer, the day melts away for you. Each snap you take, you feel awake. Look closer. Nature's smile is waiting for you. Open your door and let her soar. Now I think I've been very lucky with the weather. It looked like it was going to rain. It's been raining all morning. There was a break in the cloud, sun came through, and since then, fingers crossed, I've been okay. I think this is probably the last one as well, as you know me. Can't can't shoot for very long. Right, so I'm in the forest and I have these stunning pines, and I want to do my next multiple exposure to be focusing on these trees. I really love the bark, the textures, the linear shapes, so I think that's going to be my next composition. So when you're in the woodland, and this is very different now because I don't have a tripod to talk you through settings, I just have my camera and me talking through what I see with my eye. I'm going for 3 to 4 shots, multiple exposures. I want the textures of the bark, I want the greenness of the leaves before they completely change, and I want to avoid any harsh light, and I want to focus on those minute details. And I think if you can combine texture, shape and a subject, then I think you can get a good multiple exposure. So let's scout around the forest, try and put these 3 images together, and then show you guys what I found. When deciding what to capture, I think about the details within nature that I'm drawn to. Look around you. What stands out? Is it the perfect shape of the fern leaves that mirror each other? Or is it the juicy fruit ripening on the blackberry bush? Take stills of the intimate landscape that evoke an emotion from you, whether that's a feeling of warmth or curiosity. Follow these cues to help compose your images. Look out for interesting details. The simpler, the better. And that's the end of this week's video. I hope you've enjoyed learning with me, trying something new and pushing yourself. I think it's really good to develop, evolve, and especially when there's times when you can't do what you'd usually do. So I would hike up mountains for sunrise, sunset. I would be camping overnight, sleeping in my car, and there are restrictions now for me at the moment, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to stop developing and trying. And I think you can adapt. You can keep following your passion, and it's good to continue learning. I've had 6 months off. As you noticed, there's been a break in filming, and during that time I massively de-skilled. And over the course of the last few weeks, putting that time and attention into my photography, I've really noticed the difference. So if you do want to learn and see how I've developed, have a look at my previous videos. I hope you've enjoyed this video and found my multiple exposures fun, and I'll see you in the next video, whenever that may be. Take care.